Well, this past weekend, I had the privilege of joining in the Walk to End Alzheimer's, an event that brings support to so many people who are impacted by this disease and the challenges it can bring to your life. David Carrier led a huge team of walkers who also raised a lot of money for the cause. It's become an annual tradition, I think, for David and his team, and he has expert advice for those who may be on this journey.
That's right.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Well, thank you. Well, we're so proud of you. Thanks for showing up.
You keep inviting me, and every year I just jot that down. Millennium Park, it really is a great venue.
It really, yeah. And I tell you what, since you've been involved, I mean, every year they set record targets, you know, crazy targets, and then they beat them. Like they did this year. And
the length of the program that I MC at the beginning.
Oh yeah,
also
that's
getting
right.
lengthier and
I noticed that.
expanding as well.
It's like they gave you, like, what was it, 3 inches of paper, and okay, let's go for this.
But you know, it is interesting because I think so many of us have personal stories, you with your mom,
right.
And I know that for you this has been such a personal journey. My mother-in-law, you know, almost every family is impacted in some ways.
You know, you can't talk to people 4 and 5 minutes before it's a mother-in-law or a sister or their own mother, somebody in the family who's been impacted by the, you know, right now there's 180,000 people in Michigan affected by Alzheimer's. 2/3 of them are women. Right now, and those are just the raw numbers, and it seems like a lot, but at the walk, and of course in what we do, it's the personal stories. It's not all these numbers. It's the wife whose husband is now putting the car keys in the refrigerator. It's the husband who is, you know, the wife is wandering out the door. She doesn't recognize him anymore. It's the individual things that happen. You know, you have an awful lot of folks, a lot of families who are very supportive, right? But again, they feel isolated. And one of the things that we do in the firm, and it was so great to work with the Alzheimer's Association, because this is their whole thing,
right,
is to make sure that you're not isolated. There's a 24/7 hotline. If ever you're feeling lost and alone, you pick up the hotline. It's 24/7. You know, there'll be somebody there who understands what you're going through, and that's one of the things that this supports. It's research, yeah, but the research has been really frustrating. There's no treatment for Alzheimer's. There's no cure for Alzheimer's. But what there is a lot of people out there to help, you know, to help ameliorate, to help make it better. And that's really what the Walk Down to Alzheimer's is about, you know, in addition, of course, to the research.
Yeah, and you know that this is something that impacts so many people because these walks are held all over the country every year. And there's even one coming up along the lakeshore. There was one in Greenville the same day as ours. So you know that these are happening in so many communities. Yep. So David, let's talk about the work that you do, because I know that that for you, you help people plan for the future.
Right.
And so you or your family, your spouse may get a diagnosis that all of a sudden changes your plans, and you help to plan for that.
Well, you know, at these workshops, which we do every week, and now we're doing them several times a week, because it's not just in Grand Rapids. Every week in Grand Rapids, we're never going to back off that. But we also do them in Portage, we do them in Norton Shores, we do them in Holland. So we try to get about 3 workshops going. Plus, we're doing other workshops in remote locations. So Grand Haven, Stanton, Greenville, really trying to, you know, get the word out, get the message out, because as I say, so many people feel isolated by the disease. An awful lot of folks pre-plan. Most of the families we work with, they've been affected by it, they've seen it happen with someone else, and so, you know, they come to a workshop, they find out what it's about. But an awful lot of the folks we deal with, an awful lot of the folks coming to the workshop don't come until there's been a diagnosis. It wasn't enough for them to see it happen in another family. When it happens to them, for an awful lot of these people, that's the trigger. Now, unfortunately, many people give up at that point. Many people, they get the diagnosis, oh, we haven't pre-planned, there's nothing we can do. Gosh, if I could, how many people? Oh, there's nothing we can do, there's nothing we can do. It just isn't the case. There's lots of stuff you can do. At every, you know, less is the best thing to pre-plan. Well, sure, you've got all your options open. But once you get that diagnosis, get to a workshop, give us a call, because there's so much that we can do with a family. You know, just yesterday we had it was one of those where we had a blended family, separate assets. They got together 5-6 years ago, okay, they're a married couple now. They have a prenuptial agreement, they have separate trusts, all this stuff was done, as I say, several years ago. Well, big surprise now, the wife had no idea that her husband, who's suffering from the disease, that the husband, his care is going to come out of her assets.
Right. I think would be a big surprise to a lot of people maybe who thought they had something buttoned up. And I'm struck by the idea that it's never too soon to start planning. It's never too late either, no matter
Correct.
what portion of this journey that you may be on. And we're seeing on the screen all of those life plan workshops. You weren't kidding. You have them all the time, a couple times a week in different communities to really make it easier for people to access it.
Well, you know, the reason we do it like this, I thought it was really unfortunate that you see a lot of these seminars, and it's sort of like, oh, the circus came to town, you know, every several months, or big surprise, you know, come to dinner and something like this. We really take the opposite tack on it. We're not going to serve you dinner. You'll get the oatmeal cookies, no problem, okay? But it's one of those things, we're there when you need us.
Right.
It's like, we're like the electric company. Flip the switch, the lights come on. When you need us, we're going to be there. We're going to be convenient for you. And that just carries through to the client relationships that we have. Every client is super important. Every client's a family to us.
Right.
Part of our deal, part of our family.
And it's a workshop. You take people through a booklet, so they fill out their own information, and at that point they figure out what are the next steps. And that's where you and your team come into play.
There's never any obligation. You know, it's all about what makes sense to you, what makes sense to your family, and it's really a process. So what we love to see at the workshops, and sometimes at Visions too, but primarily at the workshop, is we see mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and the kids.
Yes.
So everybody is talking about it the same way. You know, at least we have a common vocabulary. We're not hearing, you don't get the, oh, that doesn't work, or my Uncle Charlie said this.
Yes.
Now you've got, and that brings the family together, you see? Because now we're all driving on the same goal.
Yeah.
It's not just us, it's your whole family. And you know, and one of the things you see at the Walk to End Alzheimer's that is so inspiring is you see multi-generations, they're wearing the t-shirt, you know, and they say, I'm walking for grandma.
Yes.
And they've got a picture of grandma on, you know, those t-shirts they do with the pictures on them?
It is terrific. And so we want to remind people we have these workshops going on, different communities all the time. And starting next month, you are going to have a couple of big events coming up in the Kalamazoo area because you are opening a brand new office in Portage.
That's right. Our permanent office, we've been down there since February, but our permanent office is now open. And we're one of the sponsors. The WMU is going for, the Western Michigan is going for the Guinness Book of World Records for vow renewal.
How about that?
Renewal,
yeah, that's on October 8th at Waldo Stadium during Western Michigan's homecoming and the new office and ribbon cutting. I'll be actually there on October 13th to be part of that big celebration.
It's the only way we can keep the rain away.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Although I was at the Western game on Saturday, and they had to evacuate the stadium at one point because of lightning, but I won't tell you that part.
No. Well, you see, you used up all your magical powers in the morning at the Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, and we're grateful for that.
Yes, indeed. So stay right there. We'll be back with more 8West right after this.
This is 8West.